Hey, what's going on, Ryan?
Sorry, man. My internet is awful. So
It's all good. I heard you guys were just in a Zoom call, so I figured maybe you had a piss or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Every once in a while, my just Zoom doesn't want to work on my computer. It just happened in our Zoom call too. So I'm sorry.
All good.
Ryan at any point. It's not his fault.
Cool. I was telling Tyler and Derek earlier that our podcast is about your guys' journey in the music industry and really how you guys formed State Champs and how you guys got to where you are today.
Cool.
Rad. So I know you guys formed the band in Albany, New York, but are you all originally from there, or did you collectively meet there?
So just me and Tyler are kind of the two original members. We both come from the Albany area, or at least the upstate capital region in New York.
Okay.
We've been through a few member changes, but the lineup we have now, the four of us, like Evan and Ryan, have been in the band now for what, 7 years now. Evan,
I think I'm on year 8.
Oh, wow.
Longer than I even know.
I'm on year 10. Derek's on year 10. Me and Derek used to play in bands together, like just local stuff. So I've known him since he was 13. I was 14.
Did you go to high school together?
No.
Oh,
Sister schools. We went to schools right next to each other, though, and we played in different bands. Yeah,
like
we
rival schools?
Yeah, we played in different bands together, and we actually come from a big like hardcore and metal scene. So me and Tyler both played in our own respective like metal bands, and I was
really
at like age 12. I was screaming in a hardcore band. Tyler played bass. So both not our instruments that we do now, but
sure.
They're all the same thing, but I'm not screaming anymore, obviously.
Yeah.
And at one point, I guess we just branched away from it.
Was there a reason for that? It just wasn't your scene anymore, or you just like doing the more pop punk stuff?
I think I don't know. I guess me and Tyler were kind of a little bit more like leaning towards lesser heavy music, and at one point we got together and we just started covering Cartel songs and covering Fall Out Boy songs for fun. Brought in some more friends to it, and then I don't know, it just kind of built out of nowhere. We didn't really expect to even start a band, and we just kind of started getting booked on some local shows, or we played some basement shows. And for our first show, we didn't have a name yet, and I had just thrown a party in my high school for a girls basketball team that had just won the state championship. Naturally, we ended up with the name State Champs and are stuck with it 10 years later. But
it's a great name, dude. Really, though.
I didn't really care for it too much at the beginning. And I don't know if I even still do, but we're stuck with it, obviously. So
yeah, right.
As far as like pop punk bands go, I feel like it makes sense, and one of the better ones out there.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, I think so.
It's funny because, like, even if you probably hadn't heard State Champs, if you grew up like maybe in the early 2000 era, you'd probably associate it just by hearing it. Oh, they're probably like a pop punk band,
exactly.
like an all press type band.
It's funny because I feel like most of the people that like I'm surprised that like our band, like, when we do a tour with like Fall Out Boy or something like that, like there are a lot of like casual listeners who will come up to me and be like, State Champs is such a good band name. I'm like, you don't listen to many bands.
Dude, it's always the bros. It's always like the bro dude. It's just like, State Champs, bro. That's hot. Like, you knocked it out of the park with that one. All right.
Like, dude, I was a wrestling state champ back in '98, and I just love the name.
My state championship, '84.
Yeah, right. So Ryan, how'd you get into music? You're not from Albany, though?
I'm the only one not from the upstate New York area. I'm from Michigan. I've been playing music since I got out of high school as well, and I was in a local band in Michigan called the Good Luck Varsity, and we did some touring. We did some pretty heavy like DIY touring, and I think I met Tyler through a mutual friend who is from Michigan, who moved to New York. And then they met, and she kind of just put us in touch. We became friends. And when I found out that they were looking for someone who was committed, who had touring experience, who could sing backups, I kind of checked those boxes, and we became friends, and I kind of just like snuck my way in there, I guess.
Yeah.
Right on.
Oddly
What about
enough,
you, Evan? How'd you get into music? Oh, sorry.
So,
Go ahead, Tyler.
No, I was gonna say, oddly enough, Evan being from like the area, we never really crossed paths too much. Like bands that that were in other bands with people that I knew, like Jesse and stuff like that. I just never knew Evan existed.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So I grew up about like 40 minutes to an hour south of Albany, and then when I graduated high school, I moved out to Western New York for college, and I started bands out there. So I was like in the scene in Western New York, like near Rochester, and then I moved to Syracuse. And only did I meet these guys through, playing shows in Syracuse. They would play the Lost Horizon, and my band in Syracuse would play, and that's the only way I would know of State Champs. And then Derek actually sang on my old band's EP, and I heard him sing for the first time, and I said, I need to find a way to be in a band with this guy. And luckily at that time they were having drummer problems, and I didn't know they were looking at me, and it was
like
luckily, awesome.
Luckily they had a shitty drummer at the time, and I knew I was
yeah. I was nice, because the old drummer, he's a nice guy.
He's a nice guy.
We were looking for a new drummer, and Evan's band, since we were playing a few shows with them, we knew them. We basically just stole him. We just stole him.
It wasn't very hard. My band wasn't doing much to begin with, and Tyler is it was really good at knowing how to get what he wants. So he didn't take much convincing. He's like, we're going to be on Warped Tour. We're going to be recording in Los Angeles or in California. And I was like, oh yeah, sure.
He's a good car salesman.
Yeah, he's great. So it was an easy choice.
He sold me too. He sold me.
Yeah.
Honestly, I always tell this, like when I joined the band, like I didn't really know State Champs at all. I didn't listen. I kind of only knew them through people, and then I went to go see them live. That's when I was like, oh, this band rocks. And then when I got asked to come try out, I had to listen to the record like nonstop because I didn't know any of the songs, and I had to learn how to play them on bass.
Oh my gosh, was that difficult to like sit and learn them all?
Never played bass before.
It was, that was the reason it was difficult, was because I was a guitar player, and when I was learning them on bass, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a breeze. And then I realized like bass is actually harder than you think. So,
you're not just playing the root note of what the guitar.
No, especially Ryan's very good
at the beginning, I was playing the root note. Trust me. I was like, I'm glad this band is a pop punk band because they're playing power chords and I can kind of figure it out. But we've evolved a little bit since then.
Yeah, that's cool. Derek, so you sang on Evan's band's record, like early EP?
I think it was one of my first ever like guest vocals.
Yeah. It's a band called The Fortune of Fame. He came in, he drove like 2 hours, like tracked in 10 minutes. And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is insane. It was just like, even the engineer, when we were recording, it was like, every time Derek would sing something, like, oh my gosh. And then I was like, yeah.
Really was trying to like flex a little bit more and had like more to prove, I guess, at the beginning. Because it was my first time singing on somebody else's record. And maybe my first time being in the studio with people I didn't know. So I was getting into vocal booth. I was like, well, I should just kill this and not even do what they told me to do and like do like massive run and like try to show off like way too much. And probably went way overboard with it. But I do remember
that's perfect.
I do remember being nervous though because I didn't know anyone besides like you and your guitar player.
You remember who drove you to the studio?
What's that?
Who drove you to the studio to do that?
Yeah, drummer.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's so funny.
Yeah, so he was in the control room, kind of being a little cocky with it, like being like, "Yeah, that's my singer," and I was just like,
"You're like, not for long."
Yeah, man, like that's cool, man.
Yeah,
I actually didn't even know that. That's great.
That's funny.
It was a funny experience.
Yeah. Was that your first time like really singing, Derek, or because you're saying you're in a hardcore screaming band? and these guys, or were you already doing State Champs by this point?
I mean, we had already started State Champs, but
okay.
But we had only done like our first demo, like or our first little EP, I guess, and recorded it like with a local friend that had a studio, and it was just us. It was a comfortable studio setting. So, like I said, I had never been in the studio or like done any sort of writing sessions or studio sessions with other people, like, and just having to sing in front of people in a recording session. Yeah. So I think I was really nervous about, and I was only like 18 or something.
Yeah, I think this was 2011. So Champs was a band for a year, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. So beginning of a lot.
So Tyler, you and Derek you met up early on. Obviously, you went to rival high schools, played in bands, and you guys kind of started playing together, doing those cover songs, like the Fall Out Boy covers and Cartel covers and whatnot. When did it translate into the two of you writing songs together and like really kind of forming State Champs?
I don't even remember. Do you, Ty?
So we started playing shows, and we were like, well, we have to have music to play at the shows.
We had like 4 songs, and then we had like 4 of our own songs, maybe. And
but you were booking stuff with only the 4 songs?
Yeah, and then we would do like a couple of cover songs. We used to cover Fat Lip all the time.
Rad! Yeah.
Fat Lip, reimagined
old Fall Out Boy songs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we were like your classic, like, I mean, I was gonna say high school. We were in college, I guess. Like pop punk band that did like covers and whatnot, and then we made a second EP, but like pushed ourselves in like 2011 to put out this. We need more songs. I remember
us being so excited that we found out that we could write our own songs, though, right? Because that's such a unique thing, and not everybody can just do that, you know.
Right.
So we would sit down at some of our first band practices, realize we had cool riffs, and I would bring in some vocals to it, and we're like, whoa, so this is like a real song now. It's like our own song. We don't even know what to call it. We don't know anything about being a band and writing songs. There's even old YouTube videos of some of our first band practices ever of us playing like the first song we ever wrote, which is cool that I'm glad it's still on YouTube. Like our song Rooftops is the first song we ever wrote, and there's like a video of us sitting in a room all excited, smiles on our faces with like acoustic and clean guitars, and just you can tell how excited we are like to have our first song ever written. So you can find that somewhere.
I'm looking it up after this interview. That's so cool to have that like piece of history, especially like online, living there forever.
I honestly may have hit it. I went onto our YouTube and hit some old shit. Like,
yeah.
So maybe it's not there anymore. But maybe we can.
We'll just send the link.
I'm more humble now. It's fine.
Yeah.
So you put out the first EP, or you said the second EP was really when you started taking it more seriously?
I think so, yeah. Because we started playing shows with people that, I mean, to be blunt, like we wanted to impress. You know, you're playing like, your favorite bands, like your favorite pop, like playing Transit and Story So Far, and you're like, we can't suck. And people start looking at you like a real band, and they're expecting you to be a real band.
Right.
So like, shit, are we a real band?
And back then, we would have to, like, we were required to sell a certain amount of tickets as the local band opening.
Oh, like a pay-to-play type thing?
Basically, we did a lot of that. So, you know, the local promoters would be like, yeah, I don't know who the fuck you are, but here's 100 tickets. If you don't sell them, you can't play. So we would be in high school and college, local friends, MySpace, Facebook.
Yeah.
Please buy these tickets. We'll even cut you a discount. Pay someone.
We'll come meet you.
Yeah, we'll meet you. We would have to buy them ourselves. Like at the end, we didn't sell enough. We had to buy 50 tickets on our own just so we can play the damn show.
That's crazy.
Excited to do it.
Yeah, and when you're that young, like going to a venue, you said 100 tickets. If it's 10, you know, you go in there with like $1,000, which is probably like more money than you've really had in your hands in a long time or ever. You know, you're like, I got $1,000, and you got to go hand it to the booker just so you can play for 20 minutes.
And sure enough, we didn't get paid shit. We didn't get paid anything for the show at the end. You know,
right? Of course, you just have the stack of money. You have to hand it over to them.
Yeah, here you go, bro.
Oh man. Well, how did you make the connection with Pure Noise, and how did they kind of link up with you?
Take it away, Des.
You want me to do it? Okay.
Yeah, unless you want me to tell it.
Well, we used to send demos to a lot of different labels.
Okay, so you'd make like a little press pack.
Yeah, something like that, or I would just email and punish them, be like, "Hey, we're this cool new pop band."
Okay. Okay.
Pure Noise was one that we took an interest to, and like would always send stuff because they would reply. And back then, it was only run by their CEO, Jake Round, who is still the founder, CEO, kind of the man of the label. he would always reply, and he would be like, "This is cool, man. Make sure to send anything new my way, but I'm not really feeling this one," like, or something like that. And he kind of shut it down. But at least
he'd reply.
It was something, you know, and he was the only one that would do that. Eventually, we sent a demo of our song "Critical" that ended up being one of the singles on our first album. But it was well before that we, you know, signed with them, sent the demo, and he replied immediately like he had before. And I think we were expecting the same kind of letdown, but it was instead this time it was, "Can I have your phone number? Let's hop on the phone right now." So so that was obviously exciting, and I think we signed a deal pretty soon after that. I don't think we thought twice about it. We had no other offers. They were the only label that sent us an offer, and the first one to do it. And I mean, I think we had like some family lawyers look over the contract and stuff, but we signed it pretty quickly, didn't we, Ty?
We had, so I don't know if she'd be my aunt, but she's my cousin's mom's sister, like via marriage. So Aunt Leah is a freaking lawyer. She does like divorce law and shit. And I have her reading through the contract. She's like, "I don't really know a lot of this stuff. Like, I mean, I think this seems right." In regards to, like, you know, percentages and stuff like that. And luckily, Pure Noise are not snakes. They weren't trying to rip us off. So
luckily,
that's cool. That's funny.
They could send anything over, and she would have been like, "I mean, this is what it means." Because, like Derek said, we had no other options, and I think we had just gotten with our manager Nick, who we're still with now. So like the two kind of came together at the same time.
And how'd you meet Nick?
Well, that was also through Derek, because Derek was working designing merch at All In Merch, and they did a lot of dealings with like Crimson Management.
Crimson Management was the company that Nick was an intern for. He didn't really have any bands that he was managing on his own, but as a favor from my boss at the time that I was designing merch for, to the head manager of Crimson Management, mainly a lot of metal and hardcore bands in the New England area. He threw us on as a part of their management team, but dumped us on his intern young kid named Nick, who was our age, and we've stayed with him ever since. So we've kind of built with him. Since then, he's left that company, been with numerous other companies, and now has settled down in the right place. And we've followed him along and trusted him the whole way through. So we've kind of came up together.
That's cool. That's really cool.
It is cool when I think about Nick being like there from the beginning, you know, because I know that he has our best interests at heart, because he's like, "I grew with you guys." You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm as much of a part of this team that you guys are. You know what I'm saying?
We never signed a deal with Nick or with management ever for the first like 4 years, and he didn't take any money from us.
Oh my gosh.
He didn't even want to take any money. He said, "I'm not going to start taking commission or any money from you guys until you can afford to pay me," which was a really cool thing and made us trust him, you know?
Yeah, that's amazing. That's awesome. And then you kept him around. I mean, that's the way to do it, you know? Now you know
loyalty at its finest, you know?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So once you guys signed with Pure Noise, what did they do for you? What was the first thing that you're like, "Oh wow, okay, this is it"?
I mean, they set us up for, you know, leaving the state of New York and flying to San Francisco to record our first album ever in a remote studio, staying there for an extended period of time. We were through the roof excited just to be making a full-length album and spending more than 3 days in the studio, because that's all we ever knew before that. So we were excited, you know, it was super, super cool.
What was that? Yeah, tell me about that process, like being flying out to San Francisco and doing that. That must have been pretty crazy.
It was definitely crazy. I mean, I think we went in with not even enough songs to make a full length.
It was like 5 songs.
We've only had like 5-6 songs. We had to write more out there. I remember we had 3.5-4 weeks to do it in.
Yeah,
like a long time given being in the studio for 3 days before.
Yeah. So we were, you know, obviously working hard and being really excited to be in the studio. We were at Panda Studios in San Francisco, where had gotten super popular because they had just done the first Story So Far record. So we were obviously really excited to be in the same studio. Our first time having, you know, multiple people help us on an album, and we're working in different rooms in a studio. We felt like a real band. But But sure enough, running into problems, crunch time with trying to write more lyrics in the studio. I lost my voice in the studio for the first time. I had no idea how to handle that because it was the first time it happened. But we learned a lot from the process, and we knew that we could be a fully functional band, like writing songs in a studio, recording, and learning along the way, I guess.
Okay. And then did they put you on tour and stuff too to support the record?
Pretty much right after that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think that's with Brad, because we were working with someone else before, but it wasn't really a good fit for us. And I think that Jake had introduced us to Brad, who is still our booker now. So we started working with Brad in 2011, 2012.
Yeah, that's what's cool about us is I guess we found all of our right team members and the people to to trust very early on, and that luckily hasn't been jeopardized really at all, because those people have stuck with us from the beginning, just like our manager. Our agent is the same thing. It's kind of grown up with us.
We've just had such a great team since the beginning.
But yeah, right after we recorded that first album, they threw us out on tour with bands like Bayside, Motion City Soundtrack, Newfound Glory, Cartel. So sure enough, we're like, okay, this is real. Let's go. Let's do it. We had a lot to prove. We were going on these tours with bands that were well established and a lot older than us, that we were listening to well before State Champs was a thing. So we started getting in our head, like, these people are coming to see those bands. They don't give a shit about us, that we're playing doors open and we have a 25-minute set. We really had to start like hustling, like going out into the crowd and working the lines to leaving and coming into the show. Trying to sell as many CDs as we can just to get gas money to the next show. We weren't really had a lot to prove, that's for sure. And we started noticing, okay, comes a little bit more of a following on Twitter, on MySpace at the time, all that kind of stuff. We realized that it was working, putting in that work, kind of grinding it out and trying to earn those fans and earn that place as the opener in this young band that maybe didn't even deserve to be there at the time.
I mean, coming from like an outsider viewpoint at that point. So I saw State Champs, the tour that they released the Finer Things on with Bayside and Motion City Soundtrack, and as an opening band, I thought you guys were great, had a lot of energy, and I thought that people were really interested in you, which is what made me excited about potentially having some kind of part in the band, because at that point, being in a local band and playing for like 50 people was a win for me. You know what I'm saying? And I see you guys at, I think it was the mixtape in Grand Rapids, and I'm like, there's 1,500 people here and you guys are rocking it, so.
And no one even knew our songs at that time. That's the thing. We had to kind of like show that, we had to be an exciting band to watch, because nobody was in there finger pointing and singing our songs right away. We had to be jumping around and running around on stage and look like we're having an awesome time. And that's what we're showing people, that we're fun and like we're having a good time up here, even though nobody here is engaged really. Let's make you engaged.
Yeah, and I always thought that was one of our biggest strengths, because we would even get from other bands like, oh, I can't believe you're the one of on this tour. You should be billed higher. Or, fans would come up and always be like, hey, like I never heard of you before. You guys are a great live band. And I think that's what we did really well as an early band, is we paid attention to our live show and made sure that if you didn't know who we were before the show, you were going to know who we were after. And I think the live show is something that we've kind of always paid attention to, but specifically in the early years, I think that really helped us out.
That was also the beginning of like the pop punk revival. And like, it's such a good, like lucky time for us, especially with the show being like, it was so cool to jump 10 feet in the air, like off of shit and do like punk jumps and stuff. So we were owning that,
Yeah. I was going to say, you guys were like, you got to tour with like the pioneers of that pop punk scene. I mean, Newfound Glory and Bayside and some of those bands, like, were those bands that you guys all kind of looked up to, and then, being able to play with them, that must've been pretty,
100%. We used to cover Newfound Glory songs when we didn't have enough songs. So now when we tour with them, we're like, well, we can't cover them while we're opening.
We can't.
But it was crazy though. And, meeting them and starting to gain more influence, knowing how cool and humble those guys are, like a band like Newfound Glory. But I was also underage still at the time. I was the only one under 21. I was 20. So a lot of the times we're pulling up to these venues in our van, and security was stopping me even entering the venue. I wasn't allowed inside. I couldn't go to the the green room.
So you had to just sit outside?
In the van, yeah, until we played. And then the security walked me to the stage, walked me back to the van after we're done. It's for a lot of the venues. So that kind of sucked. But sometimes
Did you guys go out and hang out with him, or did you leave Derek in the car?
Honestly, don't remember.
I honestly don't remember, but I could see myself being in the venue.
We started finding ways around it. I still just like I'd have to be like a little more incognito and like
sure
go in and then never leave before security happened.
I figured
That's awesome. So Evan, when did you play on that first record, The Finer Things, or did you join the band after that?
I did play on The Finer Things. I joined right as they put out Overslept, which is the EP right before Finer Things. So that was 2012. I think I joined August 2012 or something like that.
Okay.
But Finer Things was the first record that I played drums on. And so that record means a lot to me.
Yeah. So you got to go to San Francisco or and record the album and stuff with them.
Yeah, and that was within a few months of me joining, so everything was super fresh, and it was super exciting for me. And it was funny because the studio, we lived in the studio, so there wasn't much to it. You either were sleeping, playing Skate 3, or recording.
We're recording. Yeah.
But we were super excited. Everything was so new and fun.
That's awesome. What year did you join the band, Ryan?
I joined at the beginning of 2014. So I think The Finer Things came out in October 2013. And I joined at the end of January 2014. So, 2 months after that record had come out, and they kind of started gaining some traction. And then we went on a full U.S. tour with We Are the In Crowd. And we were 2 of 5 on that tour, and that's, I think, well, for me personally, that's when I started seeing like repeat attendees. Like people were coming to multiple shows.
Wow.
And like discovering us and like starting to follow us. And
follow your band around, kind of?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like they probably came to the tour not knowing who we were, and they were maybe like massive We Are the In Crowd fans. And by show 4 or 5, they were like, well, we're going to multiple shows. Let's learn this band's songs. And we would see those kids who didn't know us 4 or 5 shows prior singing our songs. And
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So you started on Around the World and Back. That was the first record you recorded on?
That was the first record I played on. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow. So you've all really been in the band for you missed the first album, but essentially, But
I was on the slope that
album
set.
Sure. That's cool.
Ryan rode out that cycle with us, the touring cycle after the first album. So it does really feel like this is so grandfathered in, this lineup that we've had since, just because of how long we've been together.
And I think I've only missed one Champs full US tour. Every other single tour besides that one full US I've done. So I've pretty much done most of the touring with Champs, which is cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And you guys have a new Unplugged EP coming out, or is it out? Record?
It's coming out.
The date? Did anybody know?
August 14th.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We put out 2 songs from the Unplugged EP about a week and a half ago.
Okay. I was going to ask you about the 10-year anniversary of your guys. Was that you guys did like a show or like a live stream, right? A 10-year anniversary of State Champs?
Yeah, we did an online variety show. Obviously, since it's 10 years of us being a band, we started in 2010. We wanted to do something really, really special. Given the time being, it's not like we could go and throw a public festival and have a big concert. That's just not in the books right now. So we had
planning.
Wish we could.
Yeah, I wish. But,
did you guys have that as like an idea before? Did you know you were going to do something for the 10-year no matter what the outcome was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we had to kind of pull a 180 given the whole quarantine thing, and we had to try and since we all live in different states, like we're not in somewhere where we can get together and do a live stream show from one house. You know, we had to do it remotely, individually from all of our own houses, which made it even harder. Yeah. So we found a way to, you know, record, film, all these different segments, whether it was performances and new versions of our older songs all through the years. We brought in guests from other bands like Ben from Neck Deep. We brought Brendan from Counterparts, Josh from Issues, and we did interviews and cool little segments with them.
That's dope.
Exclusive merch deals, a lot of cool things and we premiered new music videos too of the Unplugged songs coming out from the new EP. So it made for a really long but very engaging and cool show to celebrate our 10-year anniversary, along with all of our fans too, because there was a chat room the whole time where they could all comment on things and engage with one another, engage with us because we were typing in the chat too. It was a really fun and cool thing that we had never done before.
That's awesome. I love that I mean, it's probably hard, but to be able to adjust to this new thing. I mean, all bands are trying, you know, you got to come up with these creative concepts to kind of get your content out there now because you can't go out and play live.
It's a weird time to be.
Yeah. We were just kind of chatting about that before we got on this. You know, we've been talking and working on making a new record and demoing for a long time, and just trying to navigate like whatever is going on right now and making that happen. It's kind of proven to be a lot more difficult than any of us kind of foresaw or expected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the fact that we kind of pulled off the variety show with success was encouraging. It was encouraging to us because we hadn't done anything since, you know, COVID kind of the lockdown started. So
yeah. But it gave us a little taste again of what it's like to perform and like and get that you know, engagement back with our fans. So all it did was make us want to go back out on tour even more.
Yeah.
So, or at least get back in the studio and make some new music, which is now like the next step for us.
Okay. So once you put out Unplugged, you have more songs ready to record.
Yeah, it's time to make our 4th album. It seems crazy that we're on our LP4, but the next for us is once it's okay and once we think it's safe for all of us to get in the same spot into a studio setting and start hashing it out, because we have lots of ideas, lots of song ideas, and we feel like we're pretty much ready to start the recording process for the new album. But once it's safe,
That's awesome. That's cool. I love that you guys have a texting number now. I've noticed like a handful of bands. I think you guys are like the second or third one I've seen with it. Do you enjoy that? Like that's a pretty cool concept and like a really cool way for fans to engage with their favorite band. I mean, texting you guys, that's pretty. How does that work?
It's overwhelming. I'll say that.
It is.
Do you guys have like an app on your phone so you can all kind of like share the duties of responding to people?
Give away the secrets of it, but it is just a phone number that like any one of us can answer. But it's such a cool thing because, you know, a lot of people we go through all the Twitter notifications and Instagram messages and stuff, but it's so hard to get to all of them. And it's so hard to reach everyone at one time when we're trying to put a big message out to all the fans. And nobody looks at a spam email message anymore. You delete it.
Yeah, so, like a newsletter. Like
what everyone does look at is a text on your phone. I mean, sure enough, maybe you delete it eventually, but you always look at it and you engage with it and see what's there. So now when we have like new songs coming out, new merch deals, new tours, new anything, it goes straight to our fans' phones that want it. You know, that we're not just blasting it out to everyone.
Right. Yeah. You opt in.
And then, of course, we can go through individually and look at what everyone's replying to and then engage and have a normal conversation if we want to. It's a thing that wouldn't have happened, you know, a decade ago or 2 decades ago in the music industry. Taking advantage of it.
It's really well designed as well because you can create these like subcategories where if you want to talk about drums, you know, you like send a drum emoji and it'll get put in this one category, and then like you talk to drums about people. If you want to talk about video gaming or whatever, like we have all these little different subgroups on it. So it's actually like it's a more direct route to the fans, especially given the amount of people you don't reach on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram because of all of like the like how it's like gated with money.
Oh yeah, with that the algorithms and stuff are all messed up with money.
Yeah, and like if you like, I mean, you'll post something on Facebook and be like, want to reach more fans? Like pay X amount of dollars. And
right.
No, it's like we have like 200,000 likes or whatever, 2,000 fans, and like you're a dick for not. Like,
I don't need your algorithm. I have enough people that should be seeing my stuff anyway.
So now we talk to our fans. Mark, what's up, Zuckerberg?
Yeah, what's going on, buddy? Trying to take off. Wow. Well, that's cool. I mean, so the EP or the new Unplugged record's an EP.
Yeah.
It comes out in August, and it's all new stuff, all new songs, just acoustic. You want to tell me about the record?
Yeah, so it's 4 brand new songs, acoustic songs, or at least like toned down songs. That hence the name Unplugged. And then 2 reimagined versions of songs from our last album, Living Proof. One being Criminal and the other one being Dead and Gone, the single. And what we did with the new versions of the old songs is try to take them to a different place. Rather than just being a pop punk band that's sitting and playing the same exact song, but with acoustic guitars, we kind of thought a little bit more outside of the box, brought in different elements, cooler percussion stuff and mild drum stuff that Evan got involved with, electronic stuff. Tried to think about it in a totally different way. And I think we executed it pretty well. It's going to be, especially with Criminal, the one that we already put out. Fast punk, like circle pit type song that we took and made into more of a like Mumford and Sons style, like folk.
Oh, rad.
Yeah.
What was the choice? Like, how did you guys decide on the songs that you reworked?
I don't really know.
Kind of just picked like ones that were already popular,
like fan favorites.
Yeah, we kind of knew that we wanted to do Dead and Gone because that was a song that we'd been playing acoustically in VIP sessions. So,
okay.
Like we kind of already have a version of this, and then for Criminal, I mean, that wasn't one that we'd ever done before, but we knew that it was, we had been opening our tours with that song, and it was going off really well. People seemed to really like that one, and it's the opening track of the record. And I can't remember why we decided to go like kind of yee-haw with it, but I remember us saying like we need to do something different.
Yeah, I feel like I was like I want to do one of those like
yeah.
Whatever that is, and then like because I mean like
sure enough, and then sure enough we broke out a slide guitar and it was all
this slide, and then it was perfect.
But it's awesome, so
yeah.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear it. I love the vinyl you guys did too, the coloring, like how the splatter of it, like that blue, it looks dope.
Yeah, we kind of take pride in always picking out the cool variations of vinyl and stuff. Our fans really, there's a lot of fans that collect every single variation of every single vinyl record that we do. So
Amazing.
We have to make sure that the people that do that we're going to add to it in a good way and not
right.
Yeah. That's cool. I did see a comment on your Instagram that's like some girl said like I bought 6 pressings of it or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, not that we do that on purpose, but we just like try to build these cool bundle packages with cool new merch items that like wouldn't normally happen unless it was with new release of an album. So So being that, and they all come with another CD or album or something. So our fans end up buying 6 copies of the record just to get the extra stuff that comes with it. And that's not our fault. We're sorry. But
they're packages.
Yeah.
I'm a collector at heart of many things, not vinyl particularly, but I understand the appeal of like wanting every variant and collecting. I think it's a cool aspect of music in general. And
yeah.
I was gonna say I can tell we're getting older because 3 out of the 4 dudes in the band were like, "We should do like a black vinyl," and then was like, "No, no, it's boring." And we're like, "Nah, it looks pretty cool though." They're like, "No."
Like we based the artwork for the Unplugged EP on some like old 50s jazz records that I found that I was like,
yeah, it does look like that. Like it looks like the old, maybe like the
Blue
Beatles'
Note.
second album or something like just like the style of it.
So I was like, okay, we're doing that, It's already like kind of that 1950s to 70s vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Like doing a monochrome, just black vinyl would be so cool, pulling it out of that sleeve, and everyone at a record label was like, please don't make us do that. It will not sell.
The kids don't want that.
They don't want it.
Like decorative, like splatter ones. So because that's just what sells.
Yeah.
So naturally, we had to go and start being a little bit more decorative with them.
Yeah.
I love it, man. It looks rad. I really love the color. That blue color is really dope.
I love the one that went out today with the backpack. That one's fucking really cool.
Yeah.
White splatter. It's nice.
Oh, you got new stuff coming out too? New merch that you haven't released yet?
I think new variants of the
same
vinyl. Like I think more of those coming out as time goes by.
Yeah, there's like limited ones available with limited merch because marketing things.
Of course. Yeah, and that's cool. And people love limited stuff. I mean, I do. If it says like limited, I'm like, oh, I'm buying that. Why not?
I need it.
Yeah, I didn't need it until I knew there was only 200 of them.
I know that all too well.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for that.
Right on, guys. Well, my last question is, I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists, and I wanted to see if I can get an answer from all of you individually.
Yeah.
I think anytime somebody asks this in like a VIP session, I think like the overwhelming answer from all of us is to just make sure you've kind of not perfected, but like crafted your art to a point where you're going to be happy with it before you really show it to anybody. Like, because everyone's attention span is so short these days, you really maybe only get one chance to impress somebody or to make a fan. So like, you have to make sure the product that you're putting out is worthy of that person's time and energy, right away. First impression's huge.
You have to be everywhere too. You have to be on every service, every platform. I mean, dude, we're all, almost 30. Sorry, Derek, but we're almost 30 and we have a TikTok, like
right.
You have to be everywhere. We got Ryan down there doing TikTok dances.
I'm literally planning on doing one today. So
that's funny. I heard those I haven't posted to TikTok, but I heard it's kind of like a lot of work. Like you got to spend quite a bit of time putting together the videos.
It can be, but it's fun.
It's cool. Yeah, I mean, just the advice that I want to give is write good songs. Write those good songs, and when you get out there, play them to the people who are gonna like what I said earlier. Like if you only have one shot, they have to be good.
Yeah.
And on top of that too, like know when to jump on an opportunity. I think Ryan and I being latecomers to the band, like I just pretty much stuck my neck out there and told Tyler's brother, hey, I want to join his band. Like that's not something I do. I don't just go and insert myself like that. But he gave Tyler my number and then it happened. And Ryan did the famous line, hey, if you ever need anyone, like sometimes that's all it takes. But if you're going to put yourself out there, you got to make sure that your content is, is good.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, last but not least, I guess being it for the right reasons, like not to force anything and not to like force yourself in any position before you're ready, and just to make it stress-free and organic. If you're not having fun doing it and you're not like inspiring yourself and motivating yourself, then you're probably in it for the wrong reasons anyway. So it needs to be stress-free and fun all the time. Otherwise, you're not going to want to do it for a long period of time.
Right. I have one, like, it's more not as like serious and philosophical as a piece of advice. Don't do dumb shit like releasing this song at 1,000 likes because these people don't care to get you there. 1,000 followers and we'll show you the thing. Like, no, dude, you have their attention now. Give it to them now. Don't do like the weird time gating, like gating thing. It's bad.
That's played out.
Last but not least, and this is just a pet peeve, don't say y'all ain't ready because like you probably are.
So why aren't you ready? Well, that's probably because you haven't put anything out that they care. Yeah.
Ready, dude. Like we probably are, and you should probably just give it to us.
Bring it back.